All right. So as a tradition of Mega Camp, we always do this every year, and that is we end on the topic of wealth building. So I thought I would invite some friends up here that we've been in business a long time together.
35 years.
35 years, wow.
It seems longer.
Yes, it does.
Yes, yes. Yes, long time, right? Okay, so let's take a second, if you would. Tell us just a little about yourself. Tell us who you are.
Okay, I'm Althea Osborne, and I'm Austin, Texas, originally London, south of, and we retired in 1980, and I met Gary when he was 26 years old, and he was actually he was with a different company, but he was about, how many months later? 4 months later, started Keller Williams. And I did realize I was older, so I'm a bit more sensible, and all the stuff they tried to bribe me with to come to all the other companies, I realized that what I needed was training and support. And I met with Gary, and it was so different because he asked about me, he wanted to know my life, and then he said, I'm not going to give you fish, I'm going to teach you how to fish. And I came home to Bob, my husband, who was kind of strong, right?
Yeah.
And I said, what I need now is training and support, and then I can go anywhere I want. And I think that's why that plus his charming personality is why I joined Gary in 1983, when he had 5 or 6 agents, if that.
Wow.
Yeah. You were right there at the beginning. Gary was first, and I think you were
Right.
You were right behind him. You joined later.
Right. I hadn't got my license, so I couldn't join until I got my license.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was with another real estate company. I quit, and I gave them all the names and said I'll never talk to them, and you were one of those names.
Oh,
And then I ran into you at the Austin Community College.
that's right. You were training, and I came
did
for my
good.
last course,
Yeah.
and you welcomed me, and I'd been in England for 2 months, and you didn't have any furniture or any. You had Sharon. Sharon Gibbons was there.
Yeah.
And there was nothing. There was a typewriter on the desk.
They didn't have an MLS computer.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
No phones, nothing.
Didn't need
It's
it.
interesting.
Yeah, didn't need it.
So,
All right, tell us who you are.
Jimmy McKissick. I'm from Denton, Texas. Real estate agent, Denton, Texas. I joined Keller Williams in 1993. Was asked to leave in 1996, and Gary recruited Linda and I back in 1996.
You're rebels, yes.
Yes.
That's true. They got fired. They got kicked out of Keller Williams.
We did, for a fact.
I know you did. It happens. And you're back, and you came back.
You
Thank
recruited us
God.
back.
Yeah.
It's a good day.
Yeah, it was a good day. Yep. Mike. Well, Linda, I mean,
What?
okay, go ahead.
No, I'm Linda McKissick, and like Jimmy said, in 1993, we were the #1 agents in our company, and Gary's philosophy back then was go find the top producers, the people who are producing the most, that have influence and do good business, and if you bring them over, they'll be worth more than just the company dollar that they bring to the company. And so thank goodness Althea had hired an ISA at the time to call on top producers, like Gary said, and he kept calling on me, and little did he know that it was perfect timing, because the company I was at, I was the #1 agent in the company, and they kept putting obstacles in front of me that kept me from doing what I was learning how to do, which was go build a big team and do a lot of transactions. And so we joined Keller Williams, and like Jimmy said, we were kicked out in 1996 when our broker wanted to sell her franchise. And we thought we had no options but to just go out on our own, and thank God Gary chased us and said, let me tell you another option. Why don't you come back to Keller Williams, and why don't you guys own the franchise that she just gave up? And we said, oh, I don't know, that wasn't in our plans, but we'll be happy to listen. So the rest is history.
Fools, you should have run.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Brody from Plano, Texas. I just want to say, for the record, I just want everybody to know, especially Gary and everybody, I'm all in. Okay, so I've been with the company since April 1st, 1994.
April
It was
Fool's.
about, I was called in November by that ISA who had a great script and wanted to meet me the next morning, and he showed up with this lady, very distinguished British, beautiful British accent at a coffee shop. I told them I'd give them 15 minutes, and 2.5 hours later, they said they had to go because I just was not looking. I was happy and successful and loyal to my broker, all that, and I just said, who thought of this? Is so simple. I could have had a V8. I mean, it's a classic case of, I believe it's Covey says, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. The teacher appeared, and so I started studying it. Profit share, especially, spoke to me. I asked a lot of questions about that. I said, "This cap, how do you?" At one point, Althea leaned across the table and lowered her voice. Of course, I leaned in. She says, "Mike, it's like mailbox money. It just shows up. This year, I'm going to make This year, I'm going to make $30,000 to $35,000 in mailbox money from this profit share." And I immediately said, "That won't work. You're only paying 18 in a cap," and I'm a finance major. But I didn't understand the structure and the leverage and the levels and so forth. And so I studied it. Gary flew to Dallas. I flew to Austin another time. We were at FSO down at, there were actually 12 of us in FSO, or franchise orientation then. Gary would teach all 4 or 5 days. And I asked to go to that, and he said, "Well, we've never had guests." I said, "You said you're open book." He said, "Well, come on." And so as much as I wanted to learn the systems, I'd already bought into Gary, is I wanted to see who else was in the room, who else was looking at this. And McKissicks were in the room, by the way. And it's a pretty powerful 11 or 12 people. And so in the lobby afterwards, I just shook heads and I said, "I'm in. Give me 30 to 45 days to transition, and I'm in." And that turned out to be April 1st, 1994.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. No, it was, you guys honored us deeply. I'm eternally grateful for that.
Quite something.
Yep, no question about it. All right, so let's talk about building wealth for a second, because so you were right there at the beginning of profit share. You were right there at the beginning of that whole discussion around it.
Yeah.
It was actually revenue sharing. Most people don't know this. There are companies out there that claim they invented that idea, and the truth of the matter is, we invented that idea.
Right.
And we revenue shared for how many years?
For 4?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you came up with the idea. It took me a while to actually get it because I was so busy selling real estate.
Nope,
But then I suddenly got these checks and I thought, "Oh, this is probably going to work. I think I better get with it." So I started riding with Gary to the different cities and recruiting when I got there.
You did. You sure
And
did.
that meant, and I always say to people, try and get people all over the nation, not just in your own city, actually all over the world, South Africa included.
Yeah.
So that,
Sponsored South Africa. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. So we reached a moment where we had to change it.
yeah,
Yeah. We were having cultural issues, weren't we?
yeah, we were a bit. But I didn't worry about that too much. I let you worry about that.
No, that's right. So we switched to profit sharing.
Yeah.
So
Then we had to prove it was legal. Do you remember going to Canada? We had to prove that it was a legal profit share.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we were rebels.
Yeah.
And everywhere we went, board of realtors or whatever, challenged us, threatened us.
Right.
All of that.
Right.
Yeah. That's kind of the history of all that.
Did you write a book yet?
Yeah, right. So, let's talk about this for a second. So there's multiple ways to build wealth in this world, right? And we always end Mega Camp talking about investing in real estate and profit share as 2 good examples of that, right? So this year in profit sharing, or last year, pick a number. What will you earn?
Do you know, I'm not quite sure because I never counted, but about 900 and something thousand
Yeah, you're.
in a year. Right.
You've been paid just under $6.5 million year to date.
Oh.
I mean annual. I'm not annual.
Lifetime.
Altogether,
Yeah, lifetime.
6.5 million.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. You're somewhere on pace to do 900,000 this year to $1 million.
Right.
Yeah. How about you guys?
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead.
We'll make $1.5 million. We made about $1.5 million last year, and we're on track for just a little bit more than that this year.
800 and that serves it.
By the way,
842.
your lifetime, Jim and Linda's, was 9.9 million.
Yeah, almost 10.
842,000 last year. It's on track for about 925 this year.
and you're about 7 million, 7.1 lifetime. Yeah, it works.
It works.
It works. The fun thing that Lynn and I did, I led a mastermind, and I asked everyone to do a performer on a business. And Linda said, comes in, what am I going to do? And I said, well, why don't you take profit share as a business and do that? And so what happened? So you did. You went home and you did the math on if you treated profit share like a business, not as a little thing you could do on the side.
Right. Right. You know, anything sounds good 4 months from now, right? Which was when we were going to meet again. And so I knew nothing about profit share when you asked us to do that exercise. And I was the last one in the room to pick, and everything had been taken. I'm so glad now, because by doing that exercise, really having to understand what profit share is, where it comes from, you know, what it looks like to build a goal around how much money you want to make from it, it made me realize what a great opportunity it was, and that it wasn't that difficult, that if I would just believe in it, because you kind of have to believe in it before it shows up, and if I loved everything about the company, which I did, then after knowing this, I would be very convicted if I didn't share it with people, if I didn't give everybody else the same opportunity, because I had already realized that the last day you sell your last house would be your last dollar. I already knew that. And because Jimmy and I had gone broke before, I knew passive money was something that every real estate agent must think about, must build a plan around. I just hadn't really thought about profit share because it sounded a little bit hoaxy to me, and I just kept thinking 50 more houses or 100 more houses would solve all my problems. And then I realized they just brought me a few more problems and didn't really solve the main issue of money coming in someday, so I was working because I wanted to, not because I had to. So that pro forma was a real pivotal point, because I said, well, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it big. So if I want to make $1 million, that's what I'm going to do my pro forma on. And I realized I only had to get about 20 people and help those 20 get 20. And if the formula stayed true, then I'd make $1 million. And so I put the check outside my office with your signature on it. Thank you. You didn't even know you signed it. And I looked at it every single day, and it took us about another 8 years.
We put it up in 2007, and we hit the $1 million in profit sharing in 2015?
15.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. One of our big ahas about that was, so we came up with a compensation plan that we knew would work. The challenge was we had to build an organization to support and sustain it. The biggest aha I had is if you put something out here and say we're going to pay you this money, we darn well better be around, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, right? It's not a one-time opportunity. It should be a infinity opportunity. But in order to do that, we're going to have to be a serious real estate company. We're going to have to run the business in such a way that brings real value, that makes profit share actually even exist.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Agree. I think one of the people need to, this is not like best tip, but it's maybe real close, is long-range planning for realtors is typically lunch, right? And so and profit share is not, it needs to be a plan.
Yeah.
And you need to have a strategy. You need to think longer, because it's not immediate gratification. My profit share check the first year was 0, because you have to have profit before you can share it. Second year was 400. Third year it was 900. Then it was 1,800. Then it was 4,000. Then it jumped to 9,000. So it has this flywheel effect if you stay with it and keep going. Mm-hmm. And then it starts to explode. So I get asked all the time, is this bigger than you ever thought it was going to be? And the answer is yes. I mean, I thought it was going to be, actually when Althea said she's going to make 30 or 35,000 that year in Austin, Texas, I was just, we'll say confident enough, I thought to myself, I'll go like, she's lovely, but if she can make 30 or 35,000 in Austin, I wonder what I can do in Dallas, right? Well, we both are far from 30, 35,000 a year.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so so think long.
Gary, I
Have a habit, make it a habit, maybe it part of your time blocking.
Right.
That you spend so many minutes of your time blocking on profit share, thanking other people for a deal you just did and telling them how great they were.
Yeah.
And then some scripts that go with that.
My biggest concern on the front end was really you had to make a profit, which profit's a big word, you know, in the real estate industry. And when I looked around at other franchising systems and stuff across our industry, most of them weren't making a profit.
Right.
Very few companies were really profitable.
Right.
You know, do you realize how strong this company really is when almost 100% of our franchises make a profit?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the other testimony to what you guys have built is the fact that it's sustained through good and bad times.
Yeah.
In other words, we started doing this in 1987.
That's right.
We started sharing money like this in 1987. Well, here we are in 2018, and
Well, two things. You've got to have a computer program that does what it does every month,
Sure.
which was Bob Carter, wasn't it? And then also, I think one of the big pluses is that the agents are equally involved with making a profit in the market center. So we're watching the dollars as well as just the broker. And most other companies, it's just the broker that worries about it because the agent makes their split, and there's no question of worrying whether the broker's making money or not.
yeah, that's exactly right. What happened was we started sharing the money, and then all of a sudden we looked up and someone says, well, what happens if you die? What happens, right? So I looked up, I said, well, you know what? We'll create the Agent Leadership Council, and we will assign different decisions at different levels of the organization. And we'll assign the ownership of the compensation to the Agent Leadership Council. So one of the unique, that people don't really understand this, but what's unique about this organization is I can't come in and change the program.
No.
By the way, time out. It's the only real estate company in existence
Yeah.
that cannot change its program. We're the only one. We're the only one. It is literally written into the operating rules of this organization that the company cannot change it. We also wrote into the rules on how it can be changed. And about 4 years later, we went through that battle of making those changes.
Yeah.
And it was voted on by the International Agent Leadership Council to become a profit-sharing company, not a revenue-sharing company. And that was the decision was made.
Right.
Comment I made to Brad Inman was when he asked me about this, and I don't think he understood what I was saying when I said, well, profit share exists because our agents have decided to keep it. If they wanted to change it, they could lead a movement all the way up to the Agent Leadership Council, and it could be put up for a vote. We would have to approve it, right? But it could actually, we could change the program just the way we changed it back in the 80s. It could be changed again. Not likely, but it's that way, right?
Yeah, because it's a partnership.
And most people don't realize outside of the US and Canada, we don't profit share, we growth share.
Right.
We revenue share all over the world. Yeah, my guess is someday that will move to profit sharing as well. I'm just making a prediction now that will move that way. But this is no different than how we started the original company.
Well, Jerry, you recall there was one of those movements to change the profit sharing calculation where the agent who created their dollar to where they could profit share on themselves on the first level at 10%. And it was a movement that got to the ALC, and there was a very healthy debate, and they voted to ultimately to preserve it. So one of the beautiful things is that we were having that discussion.
Yeah.
No other company would have that discussion. And that really speaks to the culture and to the models and the systems that were created in the beginning. So what Gary was saying is absolutely correct.
Well, you guys in many ways, you're the founding fathers, if you will, of that program, because you were there in that moment in history where those decisions were being decided.
Yep.
And you remember the battles and the arguments and the debates, the whys and the why nots to do all of that, right?
Right.
And a lot of people, again, if you didn't fight in the revolution back in the 1800s, you're not really tied to what it meant to fight for liberty.
Right.
Right.
And people get detached from the fight and the battles and the thinking, the motivations that led us to do what we do today, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And when the one side prevailed, and it was done, and it had all been aired out and discussed and debated, and the vote was taken. It was done, and everybody locked arms and walked out together as one.
Yeah.
There was no ongoing fight, so another beautiful testament to the culture.
So if you were going to give anyone advice, let's wrap this up. So if anybody was going to, if you were going to give someone advice about building wealth through profit share, what would it be?
Well, I would say just put it in your plan to, just like you've got goals for everything else, put it in your plan. I try to call at least 5 people a week. I'm still recruiting quite a few. And it's just because you're doing something for them as well as yourself. And that's what's so great about it. So I can't tell you how many people come up to me and say, "You've changed my life, thank you very much." And if you put it there in your plan and don't forget it, every time you go to a new club or a new city or a new country, put it here, not here.
Yep, you're right, Darren. So, Jimmy?
No, Gary, I remember 25 years ago whenever we were sitting in one of your classes, and one of the things that you brought up, you said, I want to create, and I want us to create, a company such that no one would ever want to leave this organization.
Yep.
Everyone on this panel up here has spent at least 25 years with this company.
Yeah.
We spent a career here. And whenever you really look at that, the career that we would have had with a different organization, I think it would have looked a lot differently 25 years difference in time right now. I mean, to be able to walk away from here right now and have $1.5 million coming to us passively is huge.
And it goes to your
Huge.
kids.
I mean, we own several companies, Linda and I. We own over 100 investment properties. We own nightly rentals. We own office buildings. The number one investment that we have is our profit sharing. That is the best rate of return of anything that we have, period. The grass, I'm going to use a Press McKissick statement.
Okay.
The grass has never been greener underneath the feet of a Keller Williams agent as it is today. I've never been more excited about being with this organization, this company, what we're doing with technology, what we're doing with expansion, what we're doing. We're going to have agents come knocking on the door. I see us going to 300,000 plus agents in this organization, and I see us getting 100% adoption of our technology.
Yeah, I think you're
It's
right.
a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right, Linda, what are you saying?
Well, I think Zig Ziglar says it best when he says, you get what you want out of life by helping enough other people get what they want. That's what Gary spent his whole life doing.
Yep.
And that's what we have to spend our life doing. I mean, whether you're buying an investment property and helping someone out of a bad situation, or whether you're introducing someone to Keller Williams to change their life and give them the same kind of opportunities that we have. You just have to wake up every day, decide, be clear that the last day you sell your last house will be the last dollar from that, unless you do it like a lot of the guys and girls that are up here today. But what is your freedom number? What's a number where you could work because you want to, not because you have to, and then just go help a lot of other people get what they want, whether it's introducing them into Keller Williams or buying investment properties or whatever that looks like. But just wake up every day, like Althea said, with a plan to do that and focus on them and helping them get what they need through what we have so available to us, the tools, the classes, the books and everything else. And just, you'll change people's lives. You'll have people come up to you and thank you for changing their life and for changing their family's life. I mean, our family, our Keller Williams journey is generational. Our kids love Keller Williams. They see what it's done for our life. And so real estate doesn't really have a legacy unless you do it like this. And so just take advantage of that.
Yep.
We have a company that has scale, brand, the best toolbox in the industry, and I'll debate that with anybody, anywhere. And we have leadership. And this room is about all of those. This is leadership. We had a man with a vision, and he created leaders around, and through other people, he has created that for us. He didn't fall on top of the mountain. He went through a lot of valleys and rocks and ravines, et cetera, to get there. And it's just as hard to stay there, maybe harder now that we're there. But as everyone has just said, the opportunity, you need to share this. It's not being salesy. If you care about somebody, share. If you care, share. And just tell them a story. And it's not salesy. Oh, you're doing them a favor. 45 minutes can change a life. can change a whole direction into creating a legacy. This is a company of legacies now, and for future generations. And it's built. And so this is a room of leaders to help carry that forward for the next generation of leaders. So, and think long on profit. My first check in my second year, didn't get any the first year, was $1.83.
Look ours.
And it was better than the $17,000 commission I got that week or something. It just felt good. It looked good, you know. And so it starts there. It starts small, but think long, and it begins to grow. You nurture it, and it grows, and it grows, and then those people help you, and it grows, and it grows. And so even without profit share, this is still the best company in the universe. But it's a gift. It's your icing for that amazing cake that we have. So just go do it.
Yep.
Go do it.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you at 8 in the morning, bright and early.